Welcome to the Daily Motivational Challenge. I'm your host, Julie Wilkes, and today's motivational message is called, Will You Stop or Walk On By? I was inspired to give you this message today based on something that's recently happened in my life. But before I get into that story, I want to remind you of a recent motivational challenge I released called 2 Questions. And in this challenge, I refer back to the movie The Bucket List, in which 2 gentlemen are given a terminal prognosis, and they end up traveling around the world to fulfill their bucket list, if you will, to go see all the things and places and sights and sounds that they always wanted to. When they're sitting atop the Egyptian pyramids, one says to the other that the ancient Egyptian pharaohs believed that there were 2 questions that were asked upon the entry into heaven to determine if you lived a successful life. The first question is, did you find joy in your life? And the second question is, has your life brought joy to someone else? And that's where I'll pick up and tell you my story today. Recently, I've picked up the sport of cycling as I'm training for an upcoming event. And as I was hitting one of the trails one day to try to get in some of my training, I came upon a turn in the road, and as I looked up, I saw a bike on the side of the pathway, and a man face first on the pavement, lying flat on his stomach. I stopped and asked him if he was okay. And he looked up at me, and his face was all bloody, and his teeth were all bloody. And he said, I don't think so. So it turned out, we called the EMT, they came, and he had his lower teeth go through his upper lip. And he had strained his back very badly as he had flipped over his bike and landed face first onto the pavement. Now the good news is that he's going to be okay. But what surprised me that day was as I was there with him, helping clean up the pavement, get him in a comfortable position while we waited for the squad to come, there were 5 people that passed us. And 4 of them looked at us and then looked the other way and kept going. The 5th one just turned and said, "Boy, he looks like he's dead," and kept going. Now he was lying face first because I asked him not to move because I didn't want him to injure himself any further if he had any back injuries. So it was clear that with blood and someone lying face first, we were in trouble and needed some help. And yet nobody stopped. And this reminds me of a story I read in a recent newspaper about a homeless man who was coming to the aid of a woman in New York City who was attacked by a man. And this homeless man was stabbed by the attacker. The homeless man fell onto the sidewalk, laid in a pool of blood for over an hour. Over 25 people were caught on a camera passing him, but not stopping to help him. That gentleman passed away. So I ask you, would you stop or walk on by? So many of us think, of course I would stop. But would we? Because, I know life gets in the way. It does for me. Sometimes I just get so caught up in my own world and my own things, I forget that there's so many people out there that need our help. And sometimes just taking the time to step back and look to see if anybody else needs your help or you can be there for someone else, that'll come back to you twofold. Because anytime we help someone, it will automatically come back to you in some way, shape, or form. Now I know with the way the world is today, we can't always stop and help everyone the way we'd like to because the truth is we just can't always trust the situation. So I caution you against always, making good choices when you're stopping and helping strangers and so forth. But I just ask you to look for that person who needs a little bit of good energy. It doesn't have to be someone lying face first on the pavement. It can just be somebody who's walking by who looks down, or somebody who you just know has had a tough week. And do something small to bring a little bit of joy into their life. Help lighten their load, to improve their path. Because isn't that what life is all about? It's just helping each other get through and be the best that we can be. So I challenge you, stop and help, inspire, motivate, drive someone to be their best in some situation. And I promise it will come back to you twofold. I'm Julie Wilkes, and until next time, here's wishing you a powerful, positive, fabulous sort of day. Make it a great day.